The South African Geographical Names Council is in charge of that exact renaming process, and the council facilitates the standardisation of geographical names. For more, we are now joined in studio by Johnny Mohlala, the chairperson of the Geographical Names Council. Very good evening to you, sir. We thank you very much for your time. What is the mandate of the Geographic Name Council?
The South African Geographical Names Council is actually an advisory body to the minister on naming and renaming of geographical features. Now, our mandate is actually to look at standardization and correction of offensive, vulgar, and derogatory names. And it's not limited to that, but it will include wrongly spelled and adulterated names. Just as a good example, it's commonly known that sometimes the name of the person we are going to discuss is Makana, when his real name is actually Makanda. So it's our work to standardize that and come out with a correct spelling and correct orthography.
Okay. Yeah. Take us through the actual process of a name change and the admin and all the updates that need to go into it. And, that's been one of the reasons why it's been objected. Because of financial issues, also financial resources that actually go into changing of names.
Allow me to just say a few things. One is that when we do naming and renaming, there are no financial implications at all.
How so?
In the sense that when you change a name, the process will take almost 2 years. The only coincidental financial implication can be in terms of the companies that are and individuals that will be affected by the address change.
What about roads, geographical, information centers when you're looking for a place online? Is that not financially costly?
Let me repeat what I said. I said the financial implications that are there are coincidental, meaning there's no budget set aside for name changing. No one can even say to me, for one to change a name, the budget is so much. It's not money that it can be computed. It's money that in the main process of everyday life. For instance, if you are going to change your letterheads, you've got about 24 months to do that. So you can still use up your old letterheads up to a point that you reorder new ones. And upon reordering new ones, you simply say to your the person that makes letterheads for you to change the address. It's in the course of a normal business. So there's no service delivery money that is shifted anywhere in any budget and put aside for name changing.
All right, okay, we've got that for clarity. Yes. Now, essentially, what are the processes and the factors that are involved in changing a name? We've also seen in some recent political events, we've also seen political leaders, calling for, the change of an airport. Is that substantial enough to apply to have a name change in an area or an institution or, a location as big as an airport or a town?
Definitely not. We do not concern ourselves with public announcement that might be made in whatever quarter or not. We consider application forms.
Okay.
We have to first receive an application form, and when we receive the application form, one of the tests that the applicant should undergo is that there must be proof of consultation. That is, the people who are affected by the name change must have been consulted before even the application sits before us. In the event there are objections, for instance, like in Grahamstown, we actually call all the objectors to a meeting to go and listen to their point of view in terms of what is it that they are actually objecting to. It's only after that we see it as a council and consider the application and look at all other things related as mandated by the Act. We do nothing outside the law. So whether a person goes out and says something, it does not influence our decision. Unfortunately not.
You know, we've seen now that the government has already said that it's been issued in the Gazette that Grahamstown has been changed from Grahamstown to that of Makhanda, but there's still, you know, some groups that are opposing it, one in specific called Keep Grahamstown. What sort of, you know, what sort of avenues do they have in opposing it, and could we then see, you know, it be reversed? What sort of issues lie around that?
We welcome the notion that they might even approach the court, but let me say that the KGG, Keep Grahamstown, as a stakeholder, was consulted. There's been engagement with them, even in terms of writing to and from them, and from where we are sitting, we are convinced that the process that we followed is not flawed. So in the event the court decides otherwise, the court will not necessarily find us in the wrong in changing the name. They might question the process that we followed. And I must say, if they question the process, we'll just go back and follow the right process as it would have been determined by the court. But so far, having had challenges of the change of Louis Tricha to Makado, Nelspray to Mbombela, we are experienced enough to have a fair idea of what the courts consider sufficient or adequate consultation. So we are of no doubt that we did consult and we followed due process. And
just lastly, just before we wrap it up very, very quickly, you know, the minister said, citing one of the reasons for the change was, you know, working forward in reparation. Do you then agree that this name change is moving forward from what he described, or what has been described as an unjust past?
During the TRC hearings, one of the decisions made there was that in order to restore the dignity of the people of South Africa, name changing is one way of ensuring that the dignity of the people of South Africa is restored. Secondly, we are in the process of ensuring that we transform the heritage landscape of South Africa. And in transforming that, we cannot continue having names that have got negative, connotative implications on the people of South Africa gracing our public space. Historians will tell you who Colonel Graham is. And I'm saying we are more than satisfied that in what we are doing, we're actually trying to restore the dignity of the Xhosa people around that area who were displaced, by the way.
And thank you very much for your time this evening. From the South Africa Geographical Names Council, in charge of that renaming process of Grahamstown to Makhanda, we were joined by the chairperson, Johnny Mohlala, just taking us through some of the processes and the factors around that name change.